Anita Diamant, author of the 1997 bestseller The Red Tent, was in Plymouth on Thursday night for a book signing and reading at Books and More. In an interview with the Patriot Ledger's Bessie King, Diamant talked about writing in her latest novel, The Last Days of Dogtown, which takes place on Cape Ann during the 19th century.
Tell us a little bit more about your new projects.
I'm working on a novel set in 1945 in Palestine, so before it was the State of Israel. So it's a book that focuses on 4 women who survive the war in Europe and end up in Palestine as immigrants. So it follows their stories for the summer of 1945.
And you were saying when you were talking to your audience that you're not specifically historical fact, you're fiction. Mm-hmm. Do you enjoy that very much about writing fiction and incorporating it with the history?
I'm not drawn particularly to historical eras per se, but to stories, and wherever the story lands in history is where I'm going to follow it. So with The Red Tent, that's a biblical story. Last Days of Dogtown is set in the 1800s. This piece that I'm working on for 1945 is based on a little story that I was told when I was visiting Israel. So I follow stories wherever they're set, and I enjoy doing the historical research, but it's my intention to use the setting just as a setting, not as the foreground, but really as the background for the story of the characters.
And what would be some advice that you could give to people who are, looking forward to become writers themselves? And just like you said it, if you had known what you were going to get into, you would have chickened out. What could you say to others who are trying, to get their imagination flowing, or where do you get your inspiration from, I guess?
I think everyone gets their inspiration from different places. My stories have come from very different places. Also, I couldn't have predicted where they come from. I think being open to the world. The thing with writing is that it's a lot of work. I don't think people realize how much work it is, how much sitting still, and how much rewriting writing is. Yeah. And I think that discourages a lot of people when they sit down. They think it's just going to flow. Too many movies, I think, have shown writers just sitting down and tossing it off. But writing is. It's time, and it's a lot of sitting, and it's a lot of patience, and it's a lot of self-loathing. And so I encourage people to get into writing groups for fellowship as well as for criticism, and writing classes if you're new to it. I think that can be really helpful. And I also tell writers, especially young writers, to read as broadly and as widely as possible, not just to read books of our era, but of different parts of the world and of different historical periods as well. And the more broadly you read, I think it finds its way into your writing.
Okay, and finally, how do you feel that it's the 10th anniversary of The Red Tent, such a great book, and people really like it?
I can't believe it's been 10 years since The Red Tent came out, and it's been glorious hearing from readers. I'm really grateful to be alive in the email era, and so I've gotten responses to all of my books, but especially to The Red Tent, from all over the world. And to get email in the morning from Australia, and another one from British Columbia, and another one from Texas, is it just makes the world feel like a reading group, which is kind of terrific.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.